Alright, how's everyone doing today? Welcome to another Kerbal Space Program video. We're starting the video today from the Woomerang launch pad, which is a bit of a different site. I just figured we'd launch here because we do have a little bit of extra Delta V in this craft, and you know, we don't usually launch it very often, so why not? So today we're going to be doing a SOYUZ replica flight. This is a pretty interesting rocket. It's basically the only rocket the Russians have used just ever. It's very similar to the designs of the 50s. You know, it's obviously iterated on, but you know the basic idea. You know, the four boosters down there and all the crap that doesn't work with Russian style. I mean, obviously they have built other rockets like the N1 and the Buran and the Buran's not a rocket, but the Energia. But this is basically the general gist of how Soviets build rockets or Russians. And we've just done our launch. We're doing a pretty steep ascent just because some of the upper stages have pretty low TWR. We've just staged away those boosters that like completely flew into each other, but you know, Russian. Alright, now we're coming up through about 50 kilometers. Now we're going to be going for about a 100-kilometer orbit. We're going to be taking this thing out to the Mun, and I have a space station out there that we'll go ahead and dock to. Just staging away that stage. We have those four like vernier engines, which are just going to help gimbal the engine, keep it stabilized, because that engine does not have any sort of gimbaling ability. Just going and deploying that fairing, getting rid of the launch escape system, and we can go ahead and cut off the engine, deploy our solar panels, and get into an orbit. You can see we're in a pretty inclined orbit. That's just because of where we launched, the Woomerang launch site. And we're going to be going out to Zimun. This thing, in real life, usually uses this entire stage to get into orbit. But we're in KSP, and you know everything's way smaller, so we can get out to the Mun. Theoretically, we can do a Mun landing, but we're not going to do that today because I have a little surprise at the end that we're going to do. It's not really that exciting. Okay, we're just planning our maneuver node out to the Mun. Just hitting plus orbit until it works. That's obviously how they do it in real life. You just hit plus orbit. And now the maneuver node broke, so I have to reload the quick save. The joys of nearly 10-year-old games. So, just planning our encounter with the Mun. We are going to want to be at a pretty specific altitude and inclination just because we need to be docking, and there's a seizure-inducing time warp. And we can go ahead and start our ejection burn, or TLI, or trans-lunar injection burn, or trans-lunar. I don't know what it would call it in KSP, because, you know, Mun, not moon. Alright, so burn starting now. We have all those engines firing. We don't really need those other side ones. We could probably turn it off because we don't have any atmosphere to kind of deal with that'll kind of destabilize us, and we have reaction wheels on board. So, I mean, maybe we could do that. Okay, so now we are just going to be planning our circularization burn, and we can just go ahead and do a quick plane change while we are doing so. And we can go ahead and get circularized around the Mun. Pretty cheap burn, a little more expensive than usual because of that plane change, but that's just how things roll. Okay, here we are, and this upper stage, even though it didn't have great TWR on Kerbal, that's just because a combination of the lower specific impulse, lower thrust, specific impulse really wouldn't matter, but the lower thrust of the engine, and the fact that we were carrying that entire fuel tank full of fuel. Now it doesn't have very much fuel, so this thing can kind of get pretty zippity doodah. So now we're just doing these little more smaller correction burns just to match our orbit with our target, which is our space station. Don't get too excited for this space station. It's not some crazy giant thing. It's pretty small. It's more of like an outpost station that I just threw together in one launch. We will have more bigger space station videos coming up, so do stay tuned to that. And just for now, we're going to be doing this kind of smaller space station around the Mun. Now, me being the genius that I am, never actually turned it into like a space station, so it's it's like a seizure. It's like a a command pod or a ship in the map screen, but that's just a minor annoyance. All right, just doing some of the small burns. We were behind the target when we entered the Mun, so we're just going to have to speed up and catch up to it, and looks like we have done so now. We're just slowing down. Relative speed is now 0. Now we're going to be pointing towards target and burning towards the target, and we can go ahead and close that distance. And once again, we can slow back down, and here is the space station. Pretty basic space station, just have the essentials: a small refinery, some communications, some crew areas, just the basics. just what you need for a space station. Okay, now we're going to be getting ready to do the docking. Full disclosure, this is a horrible docking. If this is what you're using for docking tutorial, which I don't know why you would, I am just some random guy. I am not like Scott Manley or Matt Lown. I am, random guy 5000. Just using our RCS to get ourselves closer to that docking port, which is on that left side by those Mark II crew cabins. And we are going to just completely mess it up because I thought the docking port was on the command pod on the top. So we're kind of coming in at some ridiculous angle. And this is kind of what winds up happening. Boink! That wasn't important, was it? I mean, to be honest, I wasn't going to reload a quick save because, first of all, I never made one because I didn't think I'd get such an easy docking completely wrong. But, I'm me, so what do you expect? Now look, we're doing, like, circles and we're, like, dancing with it. So I just decided to back up and I'm like, okay, let's try that again. Let's regain our footing. So I did that and then it just worked out fine from there. So I did permanently damage the space station. Although it is such a small space station, it does not need that many Gigantor solar panels. So who cares? And actually, I do fix that. So you'll see in a few seconds that, yeah, there you go. I just retract the other solar panels. So, there was nothing there. Nothing happened there. Okay, so now we're docked with the space station. Don't really have anything to do here. We'll just kind of transfer our Kerbals around and just kind of mess with things, and then we will get ready to undock and continue our mission. Yeah, we are not going back to Kerbin just yet because we have a bunch of extra Delta V, and I said, what could we do with that? Let's do a Minmus flyby. We would do a Minmus landing, but I don't have enough Delta V for that, so we can't. Okay, so we're just planning our Minmus encounter, going straight for the Mun. That's how I'm going to do it. I just kind of threw this maneuver node together. It's not the best to do it. You could do it better. But yeah, we had a bit of extra Delta V. We had extra Delta V to do a flyby, but not enough to do a landing. So we're kind of in this weird limbo where you can kind of be inefficient, but also can't go anywhere. Oh, there's the seizure-inducing time warp. Okay, so now we're going to go here, and then we're going to just finish up the last Delta V in this stage. Ideally, we'd like to deorbit the stage, but it's just not how things worked out. Now we have this super low thrust command pod stage, more or less. The SOYUZ command module, or the crew module, or whatever you call it, is kind of unique, at least compared to like Western spacecraft, like Falcon or Apollo or even Orion now. It has kind of 3 different modules in the command module normally, or in the crew area. Normally you just have your command pod where you re-enter and you sit out during launch, and then you have like a service module. This thing has a command pod where the crews are at. That's that pomegranate. I think it's a pomegranate at the top. And then we have a re-entry module in the middle there, which is what they use to re-enter. And then we have a service module at the bottom, which contains, fuel and RCS and avionics and life support. In real life, that's how it works. Okay, so we're just coming up on Minmus now, and we're just going to plan a burn to come back to Kerbin. We have a bit of Delta V, still have 500 meters a second left, 540. So we can kind of afford to do a pretty steep re-entry to Kerbin, and that is the plan. One thing I probably should have brought up before this part of the video, just because some kind of jank stuff is about to happen during our re-entry. I did not actually build this craft. This is a craft, hi Minmus, bye Minmus. This is a craft that my friend built, and he uses tweak scale, so that descent module, the descent module, which is normally a hitchhiker, is downsized. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of hitchhiker, but I think it did a good job on this craft, so I think we'd show it off in the video. So we're just going to be decelerating and re-entering. So a problem that happens, I don't know, it's because of the weight in the back, but whatever, or aerodynamics, whatever, this thing is super weird on re-entry. And also, this is just a bit of a meme thing. There is no power once we detach the hitchhiker. It's, it's not a command pod or a controllable thing. It doesn't have any controls on it. So we have a probe control, a probe-obodyne, I think. Yeah, one of those guys. You can see it now at the bottom. And because we did bring 3 and I forgot to offload one at the station, one Kerbal is just going to die. That's kind of sad, but that's how it works. So what happens is, since we have no electricity on this thing, we have no battery. So what's going to happen is that probe-obodyne is going to run out of electricity, like now. It's out. So what we have to do, if we want to do a re-entry, is we have to arm the parachutes in orbit and then just hope everything works out. I thought it was a bit of a meme. That's how the Russians would do it, right? And we can't jettison that heat shield because we have no probe control. But it looks like everything has worked out, except for the dead Kerbal. But parachutes are out, and we are going to be slowly drifting down to the surface and finishing up a nice, good mission. And I hit the wrong key. Either way, we saw the landing. Plop. Welcome back to Kerbal. Okay, that is going to do it for our video. So we'd like to thank you for watching. Until next time, please rate or comment to this video. Once again, thank you for watching. Until next time.